Senator Tim Scott is a Republican running for president in 2024, and everybody's talking about this clip of him describing how he views race in America as a black Republican. Here's Tim Scott's hopeful message to those on the left who say America is a deeply racist, irredeemable country.
And your grandfather faced real discrimination. If there was a white person walking down the street, you told the story how he would step aside.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, 1921, my grandfather was born here in South Carolina, Sally, South Carolina. And it was a very different South Carolina. It was a place where a black guy walking down the street would have to get off the sidewalk and let someone walk by who was white. It was such a different and challenging time. My grandfather, when my parents divorced, we moved into his house when I was 7 years old. My grandfather looked at me and said, the weight of his words were so heavy because of all that he had experienced in his life. He said, you can be bitter or you can get better, but you can't be both. And when I hear people telling me that America is a racist nation, I gotta say, not my America, not our America, not the United States of America. And I say that because I've watched the evolution in my own family. I remember the stories my grandfather told me. He believed then, with some doubt now, in the goodness of this nation. And it's that conviction that led me to understand if you work hard, you have integrity, and you have grit, all things are possible in today's America.
So that's how Senator Scott answered this fundamental question of race, hope, and patriotism to a friendly host with an audience of potential Republican voters. But how does he respond to the left when speaking with them directly? Let's not forget how he handled himself in one of the most hostile settings for Republicans, live on The View.
What is your definition of systemic racism?
Let me answer the question that you've answered.
Or does it even exist in your mind?
Let me answer the question this way. One of the things I think about, and one of the reasons why I'm on the show, is because of the comments that were made, frankly, on this show, that the only way for a young African-American kid to be successful in this country is to be the exception and not the rule. That is a dangerous, offensive, disgusting message to send to our young people today, that the only way to succeed is by being the exception. I will tell you that if my life is the exception, I can't imagine.
But it is.
But it's not, actually. It's
been 114 years.
Yeah, so the fact of the matter is we've had an African-American president, African-American vice president. We've had 2 African-Americans to be secretaries of the state. In my home city, the police chief is an African-American who's now running for mayor. The head of the highway patrol for South Carolina is an African-American.
Still exceptions.
In 1975, there was about 15% employment in the African-American community. For the first time in the history of the country, it's under 5%.
40% homelessness.
And 50% of the folks in our community
get 13% of the population.
You had a chance to ask the question. I know that I've watched you on the show that you like people to be deferential and respectful, so I'm going to do the same thing.
That is true.
So here's what I'm going to suggest. I'm going to suggest the fact of the matter is that progress in America is palpable. It can be measured in generations. I look back at the fact that my grandfather, born in 1921 in Sally, South Carolina, when he was on a sidewalk, a white person was coming, he had to step off and not make eye contact. That man believed then, with some doubt now, in the goodness of America, because he believed that having faith in God, faith in himself, and faith in what the future could hold for his kids would unleash opportunities in ways that you cannot imagine. Every kid today can look, just change the stations and see how much progress has been made in this country. ABC, NBC, CBS, ESPN, CNN, Fox News all have African-American and Hispanic hosts. So what I'm suggesting is that the yesterday's exception is today's rule.